The best ever. I'm the most brutal and efficient, most ruthless champion there's ever been. No one can stop it. I'm the best.
Maybach music.
Damn, son, where'd you find this? Let's get ready to
All step for man. One giant leap for mankind.
Welcome to the Walden Podcast, where we talk about the great outdoors, entrepreneurship, and more importantly, living a life with intent. Today, I've got Timmy Brown, aka the Bearded Uplander, mega famous superstar in the space, public figure. Great to meet you. Glad to have the opportunity to sit down today, Tim.
Wow, dude, that was quite the intro. I don't know about megastar. I'm just a big
You
guy.
are me.
That's
You are
maybe
me.
that is. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Glad to be here, man.
So, just getting to know each other. I mean, we're just getting the opportunity to sit down. When I see you, I think this guy is the guy. You're a professional hunter, really. How do you pull that off?
It started when I was a kid, but like 13, well, it would have been 16 years ago. I got a dog that pretty much changed everything. I was a deer hunter before that, and then I came up to Northwest Iowa to go bird hunting, and it was unbelievable. I mean, we had a crazy good year. And but the one thing that was missing was I didn't have a dog. So I went that next spring. I said, hell with it. I'm getting a dog. I got Gus, who is my wire hair. That was my old wire hair that passed away a couple years ago. And it just reignited every single cell in my body. So we traveled, I don't know, 8-9 states, almost every year, chasing birds. And then it's just like, now that social media is out, and I film everything on my GoPro. So it just clips and videos. And this year I'm getting into bigger YouTube stuff. I'm going to do a lot more videos that way, and just kind of grow the brand. And then, you know, a few videos would go viral, and it's just absolute pandemonium, man.
Yeah, let's go. So let's talk GoPro. Are you on the new one?
I've got a 10. I love my 10, and I had an 8 before that, and the 8 would freeze up every once in a while, and I hated it.
Gotcha.
I don't have a 12. That's probably my next purchase, would be a 12, just to have another one. But
That's the big question, I think. It's with the 12, you've got the opportunity to run iOS, which is for your probably shorter format, more consumable medias. Then you got to make the decision. It's like, you want to go wide shot and solve YouTube? Or are you dealing with this day to day? Are you thinking about this and teeing it up, or where are you really?
yeah, so like a lot of the stuff, I can crop it and make it fit on all social media platforms. You can't really put a whole lot on TikTok, because TikTok it hates us all. But like I'll do, if I know I'm going to do something really cool, like I'm in a certain place. Like I was in Utah this last weekend. I will film 90% of it with my phone, because I know that will go literally for everything. But I just crop down my GoPro footage and just go from there for like clips, to where, you know, because when the dog goes on point, bird flies up, shoot it. That's a lot of my reels are that on Instagram and Facebook. But like if I'm making a YouTube video, it's kind of a pain sometimes to crop that video, you know, on the GoPro. But I get it done. It just takes me a little bit longer.
Okay, let's talk action shots then. I mean, upland hunting is a bunch of walking. That's the reality. It's not a bunch of shooting. However, as consumers, I want to see you shoot birds. So when you're a professional hunter and doing it as a job and thinking, I need the action shots, how much walking are you really doing?
I mean, it depends. Like if I go pheasant hunting, I've got a big group, or not a big group. I mean, we usually have like 4 or 5 guys at minimum. And then if I'm hunting by myself, it's a little harder, but it's also a little easier to get the really good action shots, because you don't have all the commotion. But like we have 4 to 5 to, I mean, opening weekend we have 15, but we break up into smaller groups. But it's not too hard to get like action shots. You just, when it comes to upland hunting, you just got to watch your dogs and know, because I don't, there's other people that turn it on the whole time, and I can't do that because that's a lot of editing for the video. But so if my dogs start getting birdie, or if I know that we're like, this is looking really good stuff, you know, this is some good cover, I'm going to click it on instantly and then just edit through it what I need to, you know, take out. Or if I know there's going to be something cool, you know, like you're going to walk through this slough and you just don't know when the birds are going to get up, you just turn it on the whole time and then just go through and edit that stuff out, whatever you want.
So what am I really hearing here? I'm hearing that you're an excellent scouter. You know where the birds are. That's the reality. How much time are you spending scouting?
Well, so like in my home area, it's not a lot, but like right now I'm doing all my e-scouting. I'm checking out, you know, it's a year round thing. It really honestly is. Like you want to look for, you know, in the spring and summer, you got to look for, you know, hailstorms, and you got to look for bad weather, and you got to look for drought. And then you go from there and you find, you know, you find the public spots, or you find places that you think look really birdie, and you just start pinning them on there. And then when you go out to, say, Kansas, you hope that it's not a drought because they're going to mow. So there's just so many things that you take into account. And then boots on the ground's always the best. Like whenever I'm in a new state, like let's just say North Dakota, I was there last year. If I get on public ground and I get into birds, I instantly put a pin where I harvested a bird, or I saw a big group of Sharpies, or I saw a covey of Huns. I'll put a pin right there, and then I'll know. And you know, this is how down the rabbit hole I go. I color code every year, so each year is going to be a different color. So on my Onyx, it's insane. And then the guy that I go to North Dakota with, his is even more insane. I mean, he's got thousands of pins on his. Yeah, and it's just crazy how it just covers the whole state. You widen, you know, you zoom out, and it's just the whole state's completely covered. It's like, holy crap. So
how long have you been an Onyxer? I mean, how many colors are we really talking about here?
So it would have been like 2018, something like that. I got onto it, and I got I just got one state to start with, and then I don't know, yeah, it had to be 2019. No, it was 2018 because I went to Wyoming.
When you went elite.
Yep, when I went elite.
From one state to elite, right? That's the step up. Let's go. What color is 2024?
It's yellow actually this year. I'm doing all yellow this year, which I don't know. I'm not a big fan of yellow, but it works, you know?
Right. I mean, green means go. Any waypoints, I'll pick the little Jeep and then put green. Green means go for me. I like color coding the years, though. I think that's a much better protocol, and maybe I'll copy you on that one.
Yeah, the only color that I don't do that with is blue. Blue stays blue because when you go out west, you got to know where all the water's at. So that's blue just stays blue. That way, water's what it is, you know.
Yeah, I love that. Especially in the desert.
Yeah, Wyoming was crazy. I mean, you had to, otherwise you weren't going to be successful at all. You had to find the water holes that had water in them.
So let's talk about travel. Are you pounding the pavement? You're going everywhere, really.
Yeah.
What birds are on the list this year?
This year I'm going back to, I was just in Utah this last weekend to pick up my dog box, and I'm going back to Utah to hunt with the B Pro kennel guys. We're going to hunt blues and roughies. And then if we get lucky, there's some mountain quail in the area too. We can maybe get lucky and see some of them, which that'd be cool. Then from there, I'm headed to Montana to hunt Sharpies and Huns. And then I go to North Dakota, and we kind of go from North Dakota to Montana back and forth. When pheasant season opens, I'll be gone for like 2.5 weeks.
Oh, let's go
From home, and then I come home, And then I got a couple. I do a little bit of guiding for some corporate people at a pheasant place, and I do 2 hunts for them. And then our pheasant season opens in Iowa. So
what are corporate people?
well, so a buddy of mine runs a pheasant farm or a pheasant ranch or a hunting lodge, and he needs help when he's got like 25 guys or 24 guys, and we break them up into 4 people per group. And so I take 4, and another guy takes 4, and then we just go out and shoot. And they don't have, I mean, they're all pin raised birds. It is what it is, but it's really good for the dogs. And those guys have an absolute blast. And I mean, the checkbook's open. They shoot as many birds as they want.
Yeah, good for them.
We had 2 hunts, and so it was an afternoon hunt and then a morning hunt, and I think they shot 240 birds.
Yeah,
it's just nuts.
How
man.
many people?
There was like 24 or something.
24.
There was one
pop. Why not?
Hope he doesn't hear this, because there was one guy that he took. God, I don't even know how many shells he shot. He had to shoot well over 100, and I think he hit 1 bird.
Sounds like me, really. Pack
Dude.
10 boxes. I'm using all 3 shells.
I felt so bad for him. It's like, dude, you're behind it. You're behind it. You're behind it. Well, I don't know. I can't help you too much, man. But the dogs get really good work, and I mean, them birds sit tight, so it just gets them ready for our pheasant season, and then all hell breaks loose.
Let's go. So, as a person who's pound the pavement, you hunt all kinds of birds. I mean, you're doing it for a living, really. Is there a species you got one that's gotten away, or what's the big one right now for you?
I haven't been down southwest yet, but the one that I just cannot get enough of chasing prairie chickens and sharptails. If I could hunt one bird, it would probably be a prairie chicken the rest of my life. I would be completely fine with that. Sharpies are
the spot. I've seen some. I saw 2 last year and had a good shot on one and realized that my gun wasn't even loaded. The sandhills, Nebraska sandhills. Yeah. When you go to click, you want to die.
Oh, yeah.
You got done climbing the sandhill.
Yeah.
How about you? Where are you going? Flint Hills, maybe?
No, I go to Pierre by Fort Pierre, the grasslands. If you want, honest to God, I mean, it's not like I'm giving a pin away. There's 120 some thousand acres there.
The big spot.
If you want to kill a prairie chicken, and I mean, there's a lot of Sharpies there too, but if you want to kill a chicken, that one's right up there. That's where my old dog's, his ashes are spread up on a hill there, a really good hill that was the hill that we killed our first one on. And so I put him up on top of the hill, so it would be there forever. And, that's probably where all my dogs will be buried, to be honest with you. But if you want to kill a chicken, there's more chickens there than, I don't know, I personally think anywhere. And I've hunted them all the way down to Kansas.
Let's talk about the prairie. What a freaking blast from the past it is to go be out in it, right? I mean, how do you take that in?
If you saw my post a few days ago, that's what it kind of was about. Like, there's just a thing when you go out to like the grasslands, or you go to Montana, or you go to like Western North Dakota, like to a place that, like the grasslands, they've never been touched. They've never been farmed. It's still the same exact way it was, 200 years ago. And you just walk up on top of a hill, and the sunrise or the sunset or whatever, and you just, over that next hill, you think that, well, why couldn't there be 100,000 buffalo coming over the hill?
Right.
It just makes you go, it just puts you back to where maybe, in your mind, you're like, man, how awesome would this have been before all these lights and all these people and everything was here? It would have been the most amazing thing. And I'm pretty sure it probably wouldn't be hard to shoot a prairie chicken then.
Guaranteed. They're doing it all the time.
Yeah. They said Iowa had the biggest one of the biggest populations of prairie chickens in the nation at one time in the 1800s. Yeah, they said that there was times when they first come across Iowa that it blacked out the sun. There were so many birds.
Wow.
Yeah, would have been something to see.
Pops and I did the Sandhills last year, and he asked me a good one. He said, "Could you imagine you build a house up here on top of the hill, little house on the prairie style? What do you do when you see the fire coming?"
Oh, just I don't know.
It's coming. You can see it. You try to go dig a hole around your house as fast as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You're in it, really. You're out in the prairie. It's something else. It's a sight to behold. For listeners that have never done it, how would you describe it?
The prairie. I mean, it's the best sunsets, the best sunrises. It's gonna be 90% of the time. It's gonna be a little windy. And you just don't know what the weather's gonna do. There could be a storm pop up on you in like no time. I mean, it's kind of like the mountains too, but I mean, it's just as far as you can see, it's just grass. And that is one of the coolest things that I've ever experienced. Yeah. I mean, it's just big, wide open, not a lot of trees. It's just big. It's awesome. It's literally my favorite place to be.
Agreed. It's a sight to behold. Indubitably. Yeah. It's something that everyone should get out and go experience once in their lifetime, I would say.
Yeah, and you don't even have to be a hunter. I mean, if you just like enjoying the outdoors, like go there, go to the Badlands, go to the mountain, go to the Bighorns and experience things that you never would think of in your life. And, that's how I gauge stuff, is by experiences. I don't engage it, or I don't think of things as in like monetary and owning things. I would rather spend my money on experiences than worry about, what my lawn looks like.
Sure. But for the listeners out there, you own it.
Yeah.
It's public land, it is your property. Get out there and go check on your parcel of property. It's a very large cut, really.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, thank goodness for Teddy Roosevelt back in the day. I mean, he pretty much said, this is what we're going to do, and it's going to be everybody's. And it is. Just go enjoy it.
Yes. Yeah, get out there. Go check on your property. It's yours. It's public land,
Absolutely.
So where does the passion come from? I mean, it definitely seems as though you're doing what you love for a living. Where does that passion stem from, really?
My old man. I mean, my dad and my brothers were the ones that always took me bird hunting. We did, turkey hunting, deer hunting. We pretty much did it all. But when I was a kid, I lived in eastern Iowa, and there was a lot of birds then, like in the late 90s, all the way through the 80s into the 90s. There was a lot of pheasants in eastern Iowa, and farming practices have pretty much, changed all that. But so we would go out every weekend, and my brothers had short hairs and wire hairs, and we would go out. Some family friends had dogs, and on the weekends, that's what we did, man. I mean, I missed wrestling tournaments on purpose because it was pheasant season. I'm not gonna go, wrestle when I can go chase birds. It's not gonna happen. So
it was always number one on the list for you.
Yeah, there was nothing that's gonna. I mean, honestly, relationships. It that's part of me. That's what it is. I mean, it's so ingrained in me that it's part of me. And if you want my time, you have to accept that. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to change. So, has it cost me friendships and relationships? Absolutely. But I'm not going to change who I am to satisfy anybody. You know what I mean? So, so then that happened, and then the bird population dropped off, and then I started deer hunting with my brother. He lives south of Des Moines, and he's got literally some of the best deer ground in the state. And I could care less to go sit in a tree stand and wait. I can't sit still. I can't do it, dude. I can't.
I mean, I could take a nap in a blind, I get some of my best sleep really in the deer blind. You have to get up way too early. It's typically cold. I get bundled up. It's dark. I'm taking a nap probably.
Yeah. The closest I get to sitting still is turkey season. That's the closest I get, and I still run and gun, but that's as close as I'm getting to like literally stopping. But so yeah, so then I got Gus, and then it's just, you know, it's pretty much turned into he was the one that, you know, ignited everything again. So, you know, like all my shirts and stuff that I get made, I mean, it all says, it's all got his picture on it. It's all because of him, to be honest with you. All the friendships that I've made, like literally everything that I do is because of that dog. So, you know, that's why I do it. And I'm going to keep on doing it till I can't.
I'm with you. This seems to be a common theme among all uplanders. It's always about the dogs, really.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, if you don't go with a dog, it's just I mean, it can be done and it can be fun, but there's something about your own dog that you and him work as a team, or you and them work as a team. And it's like poetry. I mean, that's what I watched the last episode of The Flush, and that's what they all said, like poetry in motion. And that's exactly what it is. All the hours, you know, all the hours you put in with your dog, all the stuff that you know, you get in shape with your dog. You do all this stuff, you train the dog, get it to where, you know, he's disciplined enough to do it. And, you know, then that first bird gets up out off of a point. Oh, there's nothing better. And the first one's the same as, honestly, as the last one. I mean, the last one always hurt a little more because it's the last one, but, you know, just, that's why we just get more of them, to be honest with you. Got to keep the leg going, man.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better myself, truly. So, taking a step further, I mean, the passion's what drives you, but you're running the business these days. Like, let's talk about the business and that part of it. Like, public figure is what you got listed on Instagram, but really, you're an influencer of sorts. Sponsorship, is that in the wheelhouse for you right now? Walk me through that whole thing, because clearly I don't understand it all.
Yeah, see, I'm kind of new to it, so as far as like sponsorship and stuff like that go, I'm never going to work with a company that I don't believe in their product. No matter what, I'm just not going to. I don't care how much money they throw at me. If I'm not going to use it every time I go out, I'm not going to, you know, endorse. And it might be good for somebody else, but if I'm not going to use it, I'm not going to, you know, try to take the money to endorse it. So really the only ones that I work with, Chief Upland, he's a really good friend of mine, Jake. I run his vest and all his gear, the pants and the quarter zip jackets are coming out this year. I that's the only stuff that I'll wear because he was the first one to call me up and say, "Hey, do you want to work together?" Because he had a big boy vest he just come out with, and he's like, "Will you put this thing through the ringer?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." And I did, and it stands up like no other. I mean, I hunt hard and I hunt a lot. And I still have the first one that he gave me that I still wear it.
Let's go.
So, yeah, it's legit.
Upland gear. Upland is constantly kind of quantified as your white collar aristocrat. All the gear is expensive, you know. But the expectation around Upland gear though is it's for life too, though. You know, and so many brands are like, "You have a problem with it, or replace it." Like, yeah, you're spending $500 on this thing, but it ought to get you 10 good seasons at minimum. You know, that's the expectation for me, anyways. Would you say that that's how you're teeing up these products as you consider partnership, or where are you at with it?
Absolutely. Like, I met Ben from B Pro Kennels too. That's another one that he makes legitimately the most sound aluminum dog boxes I've ever seen. Like, it's got 100 foot of roll cage in it. I mean, it looks like a race car, man. And like, he puts in all the extra bells and whistles to make sure your dog's safe. There's temperature gauges in there that you can run off your phone. to see what the temperature is inside the box, so you don't have a dog that's overheating and die, because a lot of them, a lot of the times that happens. So just the little extra stuff that they put into things, like Jake does with the vest or with his pants, like Ben does with the kennels. I work with Apex Ammunition on some stuff. They make unbelievable non-toxic shells, but it's got to be killer stuff for me to do anything with them. And otherwise, it's just if I can't back it, I don't want to.
I'm with you. And your followers and fans and people that are connected with you, they don't want you to be a sellout either. They need you to tell them what's tight. Really, that's what they expect from you. And that's what they're following you for. I mean, is that kind of where you is that your position on it, or how do you really think about it?
Yeah, that's where my mind goes. Like, I'm not gonna suggest things for people if I'm not gonna put it through the rigor first, you know. So I don't get in too much into sponsorships and stuff like that, but
I think everybody, I mean, any young person who wants to hunt professionally, they want to know, how does the deal go down? What was the first deal that went down for you? And when it happened, are you like, oh, it's happening, right? Like we're there, like we've made it. How do you think about this?
I still don't believe that I can go to like Pheasant Fest and people are like knowing who I am. You know what I mean? It's weird. I mean, it's really weird to me. Like, they'll come up and they're like, "Oh, dude, I love that video of, you shot that double in one shot," or, that kind of thing. And I'm like, man, people really do watch this stuff. Like, and they're into it. So I just keep pumping out the content that you do and all this. I mean, for every one of the haters that's out there that says that your dog doesn't do it right, or you shouldn't have shot that bird because it's too low, all those, I've got 15, 20 good comments. You know what I mean? And it's just, you gotta go through that, but it still is, it feels weird that people are into my, hunting videos as much as they are. So I don't really dive into the sponsorship. I mean, if everybody approaches me, I don't approach them.
Yeah, what a place to be, really.
Yeah, I'm just not, there's been a few like knife companies that have got a hold of me, but they want me to use like a butcher knife or something like that. And I'm like, to be honest with you guys, I'm probably not going to use this knife.
You look like Jim Bowie to me. Give him the biggest one. Carry a machete around.
This thing looks like a freaking butcher block knife where you're through bone. And I'm like, dude, I'm probably not going to use that. So I don't want you to waste your money sending me this knife, because I'm literally going to probably make no content. It's like,
it weighs 8 pounds. I'm already carrying all these birds.
It's like, holy cow, dude. So for like kids and that want to get into this stuff, don't just jump on free stuff just because it's free.
Sure.
It's not worth it.
I'm with you. You've got to think about your brand too.
Yes.
And even if you're in denial and you go, I can't believe I actually do have fans out there like you do, how can you steer them the right way? I think with great power comes great responsibility is the reality.
Yep.
You're always trying to make the next right decision and do the right thing because you've got this visibility.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Is that hard to do sometimes?
No, I mean, I'm just true to myself. I mean, this is the way that I hunt. I'm loud. I mean, I do curse a little bit in some of my videos. It's like my buddies and I like to rip on each other, like hard rip on each other. And sometimes it's a little risque, and then you gotta bring it back in a little bit, but it just, we say some of the most vulgar stuff to each other, but that's what it is. You like the banter, that's the other thing of like, right. Like bird hunter.
There's not any beer drinking going on around.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Once we're done, once 4:30 and Iowa hits, we're starting. But yeah, just be true to yourself and just follow the laws and just, hunt right and you'll be fine. You don't have anything to worry about. If it seems like a bad idea, just don't do it.
Right.
I mean,
that is a word to live by in any industry, any niche, any video you watch.
Yeah, if you have a little doubt in your mind, be like, probably better not, then just don't do it.
That is a golden rule.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, especially with bird hunting, because we have so many people that, or hunting in general, we have so many people that want to take it away from us that we do not need to give them anything like that. And that's the other thing. Like, I hate to like,
you're branded as a stupid gunslinging redneck.
Yeah.
Danger to society. How do you be the exception? Like you need to be so on point and put that out there. We're all responsible for that, is the reality. And we need more of this to educate people that don't come from this tradition, really.
Definitely. There's three things that in my head that I think of every time I get ready to go out hunting. You respect yourself, you respect the game, and you respect the landowner. And you will never have any problem hunting of anything. I mean, that's all you have to do is respect those three things and you'll be fine. Because you literally have to say, I don't have to say it, but I say it every day. Like, those are the three things in my head that I do the checklist with,
Yeah.
You just reiterate to yourself, remind yourself that, this is what it's about.
Yeah. And we have these laws in place to, 1, conserve the game, 2, protect other hunters, 3, protect the dogs. Nobody wants to see a dog get shot, Yep. Be safe, be smart. So let's talk about content. And we're in such a interesting time. The threshold between doing whatever you want to do for a living is a camera lens. It's like, are you willing to get in front of the camera and film yourself doing your life's dream?
Sure.
If you do it, you can promote yourself to whatever job you want, Yeah. 1, when did this epiphany hit you? And 2, what are you thinking mentally about content? I mean, are you always thinking about content? It's like, how can I get more? How can I get ahead? Let's talk about the business, really.
So honestly, like, I'm a huge Barstool sports fan. Like, I watch a lot of Barstool stuff, and they, a few years back, that's kind of like, they promote themselves and they do content. I mean, they do off the wall, crazy stuff. But like, I was like, in my head, I'm thinking that I could just make sure that I'm putting out outdoor content, like stuff like that, like life lessons. And, after Gus passed, it was like a lot of stuff was in remembrance of him, and I just really, the way it started was I just wanted to have something of the memories of everything. So I didn't have to have it like, how it was when we were kids. We had pictures that we printed out. Now you don't really have that. It's all digital and it's all on Facebook and it's all on Instagram. And
right.
You can have it on Google Pictures and all that jazz. So it's like, the more content I make, the more times I can go back and look and watch it. You know what I mean? And then people started to like it and people started to follow it. And, really my Upland page has only been out for a little over a year, and, it's just taken off like wildfire with the way that I make stuff, and people are gravitating towards it and like it, I guess.
Yeah. So let's talk about vibes. I mean,
literally me being me.
There's only so much you can do with the camera. 1, are you using an iPhone camera or an Android camera? Or are you using a camera? And are you good at post, or is this all just raw?
A lot of it is all of the above. I mean, I've got a really nice Canon camera that I use for a lot of my videos. My turkey videos are all done with that camera. I guess this year I had GoPro footage, also, but, or my phone. It's literally my phone, that camera, and my GoPro.
Okay.
then, like when we're having pheasant hunts and, you want to catch the B-roll stuff of, us banter and just hanging out and actually like getting me. That's the hardest thing is for me to get stuff of me in my element. So a lot of my friends that I have that are up here that hunt with me, they pull the camera out and they'll film me, talking to people or we're doing something or, taking pictures. I've got a couple friends that take pictures. Steve Olenschlager come down. He's the guy that I go to North Dakota with.
I'm having him soon. I'm a huge fan of his. I can't wait to sit down with him, really.
Literally one of the greatest photographers that I've ever been around.
He's an interesting cat insofar as he has prairie chickens and all kinds of other birds that he's breeding. I mean, if there is an expert in some of these one-off birds that we have difficulty finding, like, he's probably the guy. Actually, I'm really excited to be with him too.
Literally has the largest captive flock of prairie chickens in the world.
Yeah, he's a
monster, dude. He is
mind-blowing.
Dude, it is the most of just walking the prairie with him last year was like you learned so much. Yeah, you learned so much of everything between camera stuff and then you're talking dogs and then you're talking like actual birds and what to look for. And it's just, if you can find it, that's another thing. If you can find a mentor that is in the outdoor space that knows that much and has, he's got 30 plus years of experience just in North Dakota. So it's like, he's a guru and he is so much fun. You're not going to get a word in edgewise that dude, man.
That's fine. I'd love to hear him go for an hour. I'd be perfectly fine with that. Really.
So good. He'll talk your ear off and he shows he's probably got more passion than I do about bird hunting. I mean, like, dude, the guy calls it Hunttober. He's literally in North Dakota almost the whole month of October.
Yeah. I mean, you have the largest flock of prairie chickens. You're committed. Your feet are taking the bicycle on this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something else. It's so funny that you mentioned him. Is that what I'm really going to learn? You said you'd done a podcast before and then you're like, well, then I couldn't find anyone else. Is it because the community is not really that big? You're just re-interviewing people? Is that the reality? Or
no, it's not so much that, but like it's kind of getting saturated in my mind that like each podcast is going to have pretty much the same people on it, which is fine. Like, I do one with Tyler Webster, on his and we have a good time, but we cut up. If you just keep everything, doesn't necessarily have to be talking about hunting. Like him and I'll bullshit about whatever we had going on this last month. If
so he's birds, booze, and buds.
Yeah,
is buds friendships or is that weeds?
No, that's friendships. Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I didn't know. I'm seeing him in a couple days, but I didn't want to overreach.
Yeah, no.
You teamed up with the booze.
Yeah.
What state is he in? Are they doing that?
No, he's in North Dakota.
Okay. I don't know where they're at on the whole legalized. Where are you land on that?
I could care less. Do whatever you want to, man.
That's where I'm at. Whole country is founded on civil liberties. You might as well be free to do whatever it is you're doing, right?
Yeah, as long as you're not hurting somebody else. And I honestly don't know anybody that's ever hurt anybody smoking weed. So alcohol does worse things than weed does on people like fighting and hurting each other. I don't, it's just
do what you feel. Treat people right.
If you do everything in moderation, you're good.
That's where I'm at.
But I don't expect anybody to tell me what I have to do. So I don't tell anybody what they have to do. Sure.
So what are you really saying? If this was the Joe Rogan podcast and Joe Rogan handed you a joint, you would hit it?
No, I will.
You don't partake.
No. Well, so just a little info about me. My mom passed away from lung cancer in 2008. I will not ingest anything but air into my lungs.
Man.
That's the only reason.
Was she a smoker?
Oh, yeah, like 45 years
like
worth.
A chimney.
Yeah.
Bummer.
But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, my dad stopped smoking after she passed away and he feels pretty good. But I mean, would I love to sit and puff on a cigar, especially like when the mosquitoes are out? Abs-freaking-lutely.
Does that actually work, by the way?
Everybody that's around me when they're smoking cigars, the mosquitoes don't like that smoke. It don't seem like. So,
That probably makes sense, really.
And I've had some bouts with like alcohol and stuff like that, and I just don't like losing control, and I don't know how I would react on that stuff. So I'll just stick with a few beers here and there and call it good.
Yeah, same for me.
Yeah.
Same for me. And getting outdoors and going and working with the dogs and chasing birds, that's an outlet for me.
Yeah.
That helps me so much. Would you say that getting out in nature is a prescription for you, really?
Oh, absolutely. This is the bad thing though. I've never done drugs, but I will guarantee every single bit of me. There is no better drug in the world than a covey rise of a bird or a pheasant flushing at your feet, covey of quail at your feet. There's nothing that's going to give you a rush like that. Literally, there's nothing.
Yeah. So, the dogs are locked down. You've been walking for a few miles. You've dang near given up. You're just on the cusp of saying there's no birds out here. And then all of a sudden, you can hear a pin drop and then.
Yep. And then you hit a double. Oh, yeah.
It's a freaking dope hit. That is the dopamine. It's all the dopamine. You're welcome. Yeah. Something else. The adrenaline starts pumping.
I mean, it'd be the same as like a 180-inch whitetail walk under your stand, and you put one right through his blood pumper.
Yeah, and the difference is you went every day during the season, and then the last day of the season, the deer shut up. That's how these upland birds treat it. It's how long can we ground and pound you for the monotonous walking and get you off guard? That's when we're gonna come up, really.
When you're least expecting, we're gonna flush at your feet. When you're talking and not paying attention after you shot that first one, guess what? His buddy's gonna come up right next.
Exactly. Or we're gonna wait until you've already exhausted all 3 shotgun shells, and you think we're all gone, and there's 4 more of us still that haven't busted yet.
Yeah. So there's a story for you on that. I was in Wyoming. Would have been 2018 or 17, something like that. I get down to this low spot and I know that there's some sage grouse there, and I'm walking along this creek bank and the dogs are getting really birdy, and my young dog Mac, well, he's not that young anymore, but he goes on point, and Gus comes in and backs him, and a flock of sage grouse get up, and I dump one. And then I see a male. It's not an adult male, but I see a male in the back, and I go to shoot and I miss. And literally at 2 steps, a boomer gets up right at my feet, and I have 0 shells in, and I didn't get him.
No.
Biggest regret. Don't ever dump your second barrel if it's not a guaranteed hit. You know what I mean?
So that's quite the dilemma. Were you in Wyoming or where were you?
Wyoming. Yep.
Okay. So you're in the basin steppe. As far as your eye can see, you're seeing sagebrush. Another unbelievable ecological sight to behold.
Yes.
Just a sea of sagebrush. Something else. You're like, it all looks good, really. I mean, where do you go from here? They're just out there.
Yeah.
But you have quite the dilemma. There's a lot of sage grouse. You're probably going to get into some. But everybody wants that big bomber. Everybody wants the big guy.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? It's so hard. It's like, do I just run around the whole time trying to find me a big bomber, or do I shoot these other birds? How do you deal with it?
It's tough. So when I went out there, I was out there for 4 days. And that was on the first trip was 4 days. I shot my limit every day, but I got really, really, really picky the last 2 days. Like if it wasn't going to be a lockdown solid point, and then a few flocks I let go because it didn't have a bomber in it. So I let them go. And then I started chasing this one son of a gun around the basin, and He was a absolute giant bird, and I would watch him land, and you could see him because he was in the shorter sagebrush. I mean, you could literally see him a quarter mile away. He was that big, and I'm like, okay, so we're gonna go around. We're gonna go over the hill this way and try to come up on him. Never got within 100 yards of him, but we kicked up a bunch more, and I killed out of the 8 birds that I killed. I think 3 of them were males. But then after that, I'm just like, you know what? If I go back, I really don't want to shoot any more hens. I mean, I know that it's not.
Oh, I get it.
I know it's not really going to affect the population because it just more than likely that percentage of the birds are going to pass away anyway. They're going to get killed by something or whatnot. Right. I get that, but it's still, I don't like shooting hens of anything, really, to be honest with you. So
I get it. And
last time I went,
big bomber is a trophy.
Yeah,
is the reality. It's like somebody that's going to hunt the big old double drop tine buck or whatever else. Like for uplanders, the big puffed chest big bomber.
Yep.
He's a trophy. Like that's what you're doing.
Yep, that and that. There's the guys that I'm going with blue grouse hunting this year. They're saying the same thing. We're gonna get you a big male, and I'm like, yeah, I hope so, but I'm still gonna shoot some of them.
I didn't realize the blues had a big kind of trophy male. That's a thing.
Well, it's the one that Nick got, one of Ben's buddies. That thing was an absolute stud, giant bird. Cool. And he was almost like purple, like a real dark purple and blue, and then some black on it. I mean, it was a big bird, and he's like, that's what you're after, the big males. But
yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I mean, we were up in the mountains this last weekend, and we saw little ones, and we saw hens, and yeah, we saw quite a few, and Ben was excited. So if he gets excited in his home turf, I'm going to get excited.
The big males are hard to get because usually they're 3 or 4 or 5 years old, and they have learned how to not get shot. Yep. There's a reason why they've grown as big as they are. They're shrewd. Yep. Which makes them even more desirable is the reality if you're a hunter.
Yep.
You can get on them.
Same with that rooster pheasant that flushes at 150 yards before you even step foot in the field. Yeah. This isn't his first rodeo.
No, he knows the drill. He's seen this. He's seen this movie before, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're not stupid. These birds, they have brains. I can't wait to hear Steve's thought process on this since he hangs out with them day in and day out. He'll be able to tell you their personalities. But
and he's flat out says that they've all got their own. So yeah, you'll love that.
After catching the pigeons and homing pigeons to train the dogs with, you learn to appreciate them for sure. You start getting partial about your pigeons. Let's talk about dog training. I mean, are you doing much of that, or are you sending your dogs to somebody, or where are you there?
No, I do all my own, and my dogs are steady to flush. We don't lose a whole lot of birds, and I like steady to flush. That way they're on the bird as it's going down. I just don't like losing birds, and a lot of people are steady to
they're told to go fetch
or steady to shot and that. And then everybody's, people say that, well, it's safer that way. And I'm like, I'm not hunting with anybody that I don't trust around my dogs. Yeah. I mean, the guys that I hunt with, 90% of the season are guys that I've hunted with for 2 decades. They're all the same. We're all in the same boat. We all know that, nothing low. It's, it's just, we know what we're doing.
I'm steady to flush myself. That's what I'm training. However, sometimes I see these videos on Instagram where people do the full 360 with the camera around their dog on the whoa, and I'm like,
badass.
I think that dog's finished. That dog's definitely well finished. It makes for phenomenal videography when they're the really next step. But same, I want them to chase the bird and go fetch it, really. And if the chase instinct is what needs to kind of bolster that to make sure they do fetch to hen, I'm happy.
And as long as you teach the basics of obedience and not to be an a-hole, you're usually pretty good because I mean, if you do your research on your dog and what you want, and you go to a breeder that has what you desire, like mine, all my short hairs, I've never had to force break a dog before. They all have natural ability to retrieve. The guy that I get them from, he only breeds his dogs if they have the natural retrieving ability.
Yep.
So, I mean, you just got to pick and choose what you want. Do you want them for the inside? You don't want, a high strung.
What breeder needs a plug right here? I'm okay with it if you are.
So my buddy Ross Caples, Point and Click Kennels out of Nebraska. I've got 2 of his dogs. I've hunted with, and since I've had Mac's 5, I've hunted with 13 of his dogs that are out of Mac's, family, and they're all lights out dogs.
You've seen the line run. You've seen the whole line run, really.
Yep. One of my buddies that actually he's got 2 of Mac's brothers out of the same litter. He's got 2 of them, and I've got Mac, and then another buddy's got a sister out of that litter. So, I mean, I literally hunt with 4. Mac hunts with 4 of his 3 of his siblings. So, yeah. And then Ansel, which is my youngest dog, he's 2, and he is a full brother to Mac, just a different litter. And, and then of course I'm going to be the guy that, I like the black and white. A lot of people hate black and white for a short hair, and
the AKC, are they still not accepting it? They're still saying that's not real.
Finally let it in. Yep, they finally.
Oh, they did it finally.
Yep.
The audacity.
Germany, it's always been that way. Like where the dog originated from, that color's fine. Like you're really gonna hold that out, America? Come on, figure it out.
That's just hating.
Yeah. See, I love the black and white. Yeah. And when I first got Gus, there wasn't a whole lot of people that had like wire hairs. I mean, it was not that common in, 2007.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people didn't have them. And then all of a sudden it just exploded with the German breeds, and it's gone crazy ever since. So
truly, it's unbelievable. In 2008, I got a wire hair Pointy Griffon, and I had to wait it for 2 years. And there was only 3 or 4 breeders in the United States of America where you could get a wire hair Pointy Griffon. I mean, you were waiting.
Yeah.
In that sense, what does that tell you about the industry? Does it mean that bird hunters are just getting more dogs? We just want more, or are more people hunting birds? Do you have a sense for this, or where is your finger on the pulse of the industry these days?
Yeah, I think COVID really ignited everything in the outdoors. Like, there's been a definite uptick of bird hunting since COVID, for sure. Whether it be waterfowl or it be upland, there's been more people out hunting birds. In my opinion,
people getting back to their roots. Are they generational hunters that just had fallen away, or is it people realizing how sitting inside on the computer all the time is just not working for them? Are they making the exit from corporate America, or what is it really?
I think, honestly, from my observation, I think it's finally people had that little bit to slow down and realize that being outside is a necessity. Like you need to be outside at some point of the day. You need to be outside doing something. And I think that, and then, like you're in college and your buddies, you got some buddies that are country and like to hunt. Well, maybe I'll try it too. Or even onset adults. I mean, onset late hunters or whatever the hell they call that, or late onset or whatever the hell it is. I think that they're seeing their buddies going out hunting birds, and they're like, I think I want to try it, and that's where everything's going. And there's a lot of people out hunting birds right now.
I wholeheartedly believe you give me 10 people that say they don't like hunting. You walk them behind some dogs and they see a dog point the bird.
Yeah.
You're going to change 7 of the 10's mind about it. Like they're going to get into it. It's hard not to.
Yeah. And and the one that's growing leaps and bounds is women. Like women are starting to figure out that they don't need to be in their comfort zone and just be like quiet about this stuff. Like if they want to go, say something, and they usually are included and go. Like my buddy Justin, his wife Lauren, since she grew up in a giant city, didn't know anything about it. She married Justin, and Justin's one of my best friends, and we bird hunt every day that we can, and she fell in love with it, and now they have 2 short hairs of their own.
Yeah.
And she goes out without him. It's just like, the more people that just try it, he's
sitting there going, well done, my guy.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to get to remain bros. Had you not converted her, that would have been the end of the brotherhood, really.
Oh, yeah. And
game over.
And he likes deer hunting more, but he goes bird hunting too. But yeah, it's just like, it's just flat out say that to him. You can literally do this if you put your mind to it. You can go hunting. And it's not like you have to know everything. Like I guarantee that you're the same way. Like there's so many times that we've messed up, like hunting wise. You know what I mean? There's
my favorite part of it is picking birds that I've never hunted that I know nothing about and trying to watch enough YouTube videos and read enough about them and figure out what they want to eat and e-scout and do all the things. Like that is my favorite part, is forcing myself into something that's uncomfortable. I love that. That's what I do it for.
New places, someplace that I've never even thought about going, I'm all in. I'm the same way.
I love the challenge. And also I try to pick beautiful places. I want to do Hell's Canyon. I want to do Chucker. I've seen Eric Forrester do that on YouTube, and I'm like, that looks rowdy. I want to go wear myself out in the Hell's Canyon. I want to try that,
That dude's a beast too. He's such a nice dude too. He's a beast.
Emailed him and called him and left him voicemails. Eric's not having me yet, but
he's a busy son of a gun. Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way. I'm not necessarily taking it as a no. I just think he's trying to tell me to work harder, really.
Yeah, he'll sit down with you for sure. He's such a good dude, and he hunts hard, and he doesn't sugarcoat anything. Like he shows his F ups too, like on camera. He's
a good shot, though. He's a pretty good shot. He doesn't miss very often, from what I can tell.
No, he's a good dude, just a great dude. But as far as content goes, like on YouTube, that's the dude. Like if you want to see birds falling out of the air, that's the dude.
Yeah. I mean, all I can think, especially when I see him go hunt the sandhills or whatever, and I see how many different kind of views and where he's at, I'm like, he's going for 2 weeks. Like he's pitching a tent and sleeping out there for 2 weeks to get all this content. It's just fully committed, really.
Yeah, and he lives in the eastern part of the country, so when he's going out west on a campaign, he's going there. He's gonna be gone for a while.
Yes, he's working.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite to watch. I watch him. I watch the Flush. There's a few other ones that I'll literally watch anything that's upland on YouTube.
Same.
I'll watch if it comes up in my feed. That's my feed.
It's worth digging a little deep there. I mean, you're on the ladder and you've got uplanders looking at you. You're somewhere on the ladder looking at other uplanders. Aside from Eric, who are your other inspirations, really?
Inspirations on like influencers and people in the hunting community.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily deem them all influencers. I guess they are really, but I just think more so. I think of them all as documentarians, really.
Yeah. So I've got a couple. Jim Shockey is probably one of the top. When we first started our podcast, that doesn't exist anymore. When we first started, he was one of the big celebrity names that I sent a message to on Instagram. Instantly, within 5 minutes, he sent me back a message. He goes, would love to.
Yeah,
he was our 17th guest on our podcast. Like, we had no business talking to this guy at that time.
Yeah. He never big timed you, and you got to love him for that. Really, it just makes him even that much cooler. Really,
he said some of the most inspirational stuff, like it's, from him passing the torch to our generation, and just stuff like that. I can't say enough great things about that man, for what he's done for conservation and for the hunting community. I mean, he's on Mount Rushmore, in my Mount Rushmore for,
let's go.
The outdoor space. Another one is Dave Owens. If you've never heard of Dave Owens, he's a turkey hunter. Peyote Project is his deal. He is a world champion turkey caller. He hunts turkeys like, I don't know, like nobody else.
Like Pablo Picasso. He's the Picasso of turkey hunting. He's
going to 3 months. He's hunting turkeys, and he's going almost every day. Anywhere from he'll start out in Florida, goes up to Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and he's
not shooting turkeys in all these states. Is he just looking for the big male, or
he's shooting turkeys?
Everyone.
Every place. I mean, there's some that he eats tags, but they're hard states. But yeah, like he'll have a whole list of states that he wants to hunt this year, and he'll put in for the tags, and he'll get tags for, whatever states. But he will literally, it's 3 months. Like he's got a series that comes out it comes out like December is when his turkey videos will start rolling out, and it's just constant.
It's just a bag, man. Just going to fight, getting them all.
There's some that just whoop his butt, and I mean, he is legitimately one of the best sounding turkeys I've ever heard in my life, and he's getting his ass kicked by these turkeys in some states, and it's like, well, I'm not going there because I can't call.
If he's not getting them, I'm definitely not getting them.
Definitely not. But just his philosophy on life, and he's the same way that we're talking, like these beautiful places. Like he goes to New Mexico and he's standing up on this cliff, and he's got a Merriam turkey that he's hanging from a rock. And he's like, when you go to these places, take a drink. Don't take a sip, take a drink, take a whole drink. And that's something that lives with me too. So those two guys are good. And then, I mean, you always got Waddell. You can't, I mean, I literally have no bird hunters in my group, but like Waddell is, I mean, you can't go wrong with Michael Waddell. And he's one of the nicest dudes in the business too. Like literally. Cool. Yeah. So like those guys are way up there. But I would say Shockey and Waddell are probably on that Mount Rushmore for me.
Let's go. I mean, it's always hard to wrap your head around, but your heroes have heroes.
Oh yeah.
You're looking at somebody and they're looking at them, and we all should be in the position where we're always just trying to get game from everybody. If you can, whomever will pour into you, take it and run with it.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, we have to stick together because we're not going to be able to beat the antis. There's way more of them than there is us.
Sure.
So we gotta stop. We gotta stop bickering amongst ourselves about stupid stuff that means nothing. Like,
yeah, except I like to talk a little bit of smack about duck hunters, though. It's just we need to have just a tiny little bit.
I say the same about
that facetiously, though.
I say the same thing about people from Nebraska, so it's okay.
I try to ruffle a little bit of feathers in the spirit of wing shooting and feather hunting. I think I have to do that a little bit.
Yes. But at the end of the day, like you hunt the way you want to hunt, as long as it's legal. I'm going to hunt the way that I want to hunt, as long as it's legal, and we can at least agree on that mutual aspect. Now, if you miss, that's
yeah, I'm going to have to post my misses online because I just probably won't run into enough birds for me not to. I'm going to have to just roast myself. That's the reality of where I'm at right now.
Well, I do at least
somewhere.
I do it at least once a week. I'll try to post a miss. It happens quite often, but sometimes those are the best ones, though.
True. I mean, I'm still hung up about this prairie chicken that I had an empty gun on, but it's also the motivation I need to get back out in the sandhills. It's like, I'm going for chapter 2. Absolutely. Because I got to go find that freaking prairie chicken that got a lucky one,
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. Just keep going.
I really enjoyed this.
Yeah. Loved it.
Great to have you on. If you could impart your wisdom on these young hunters coming up, these people that are posting online or even just thinking about it, what are your words of wisdom for them?
I'm gonna go with don't try to impress anybody. You know what I mean? Don't
Do it for you.
don't go out of your way to try to impress anybody. Do it for you. Do what if you are a diehard, pass shooter, or you're a diehard duck hunter, or even you like to jump shoot out of a slough. It doesn't matter if you like doing that. Post what you like. Don't go out of your way to do the glorified stuff like that you shouldn't, that you think is like cringeworthy. Don't go do that stuff.
Yeah.
Just be true to yourself, and just have fun with it too. I mean, dude,
Yeah.
there's so much fun.
Yeah. If you're going to turn it into a career, don't forget that it requires work. But make sure that the work that you're doing is what you're actually passionate about and you love doing.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of work. I mean, I've got a full-time job too, and it's a lot of work to do, content and to do the right kind of content and put it online and something that you're proud of, and to show people there is a way to do it.
Facts. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It can be done.
Oh yeah.
And you're one of the people paving the way for that. And so
if a fat 45-year-old man can do it,
hey, I salute you. We all do, really. Tim, it's great to meet you, man. I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for taking the time with me today.
Definitely. We'll have to make sure we get out into a field together somewhere.
Let's make that happen.